Hey, what's up everyone? Zach D Productions here, and I'm here with a collab video for you guys, and I am here with JackalGoldKick, and we are going to go over our top 5 favorite movies from the 90s. Now, I do think that the 90s was one of the best decades for movies, one of the best decades for cinema, so it's really hard to narrow this down to a top 5. But I think I have a good selection of films here, and I do have a few honorable mentions before I do get into the top 5. So basically how this will go is I'll give you my top 5, and then JackalGoldKick will give you his top 5 along with some honorable mentions as well. So I'm going to start off with my honorable mentions. Now, one of the honorable mentions I'd say is Cliffhanger with Sylvester Stallone, a great action flick for sure. Definitely one of Stallone's best performances, I would say. Another honorable mention I'd say is Terminator 2, which I know would make a lot of people's top 5, and I know I might get some looks for placing this film only in the honorable mentions, but obviously the reason that this is only an honorable mention is because, well, I do like the top 5 more, and I do think that this film is too long for its own good. I like the film, and it's probably my favorite Terminator movie, but I do think that the film is rather long, but still a great action film for sure, and definitely a classic. Can't go wrong with Terminator 2. And then some other honorable mentions I'd say are the Gamera trilogy from the 90s, really solid films. So those are just a few honorable mentions I thought I'd name. So let's go ahead and get into my top 5. So number 5, I have The Crow with, of course, Brandon Lee. Now, for a while, I was putting this movie off. I was like, this movie can't be as great as everyone is saying. I checked out the film, and I ended up really liking it. It's actually a really solid film. It definitely has sort of like a gothic feel to it. And of course, this was the last film with Brandon Lee, may he rest in peace. So yeah, great performance from him, and often considered one of his best performances, or if not his best performance. I dig the action scenes in this one, really solid stuff. So The Crow, really great film, and definitely a classic. Definitely solid for sure, so can't go wrong with The Crow. So The Crow's coming in at number 5. So, number 4, I got Batman Returns with, of course, Michael Keaton. Now, I have said before in previous videos and live streams and stuff that Michael Keaton is my favorite Batman actor, and I would say he is the best, and definitely one of the most iconic Batman actors. And, of course, he really does deliver in this role, in this sequel. Definitely an underrated sequel, I would say. Definitely not as solid as Batman 89, but still a great film for sure. You got the Penguin in this film, and I forget the name of the guy who plays him, Danny something, Danny DeVito, I think that might be his name. So yeah, great performance from him, of course, and really freaky performance from him. And it's kind of interesting because you don't really think of Penguin being sort of like a freaky character. But Danny DeVito really did deliver in that aspect when it came to his performance as the Penguin, of course. So, yeah, you do got the Penguin in this film, and of course, Michelle Pfeiffer plays Catwoman in this film. So, yeah, great cast overall, great action, just a really fun movie. Like I said, underrated sequel for sure, really good one. So number 3, we got Rush Hour with Jackie Chan and Chris Tucker. Definitely a fun movie for sure. Now, Rush Hour 2 is actually my favorite of the Rush Hour trilogy, but Rush Hour 1 is still a classic, still a great movie, still a fun movie, and also very funny. These movies are very funny. Chris Tucker is really funny in these movies for sure. Great performance from, of course, him and Jackie Chan. I dig the story to Rush Hour 1, and I also dig the action. Some of the comedy is funny. These movies will definitely make you laugh for sure, so especially the second film. But the first film is still very solid. Really did enjoy this one for sure. And I do think Jackie Chan is one of the all-time greats when it comes to action stars and martial arts stars as a whole. So yeah, he's great in this movie, and yeah, you could say one of his best as well, one of his best franchises. So Rush Hour, the first film, definitely one of my favorites of the 90s. So at number 2, we have TMNT, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Definitely a fun movie for sure. Of course, can't go wrong with TMNT. I mean, you of course got the whole Ninja Turtles team. You got Leonardo, Raphael, Michelangelo, Donatello. Of course, all iconic, classic characters for sure. This film is definitely a classic. And I thought the guy that played Casey Jones did really good in this movie as well. I really liked his performance, as well as the woman that plays April, which I did hear something recently that she apparently wants to be in the new Last Ronin movie, which is a TMNT film, which apparently is in the works. That could be interesting. I wonder if they'll connect universes, like they'll connect The Last Ronin with this trilogy. I'm not sure, but I think that would be really cool if that's the direction that they took. But either way, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, the first film from the 90s, really great movie for sure, really fun movie. I do like the stuff with Splinter and how he basically changes this one kid's mind because he's involved in Shredder's gang and such. And, you know, they question what they get out of it. Him and the rest of the gang, of course. You know, he's a thief and everything. So it definitely has a good story, a good message for sure. You know, just basically about turning away from evil and fighting off evil, you know. Of course, the iconic ending where Shredder gets thrown into a garbage truck, basically. So, yeah, really cool stuff. I dig the humor. I dig the action in the film, the fight scenes, of course. I dig the chemistry between all the turtles and everything and their communication with each other. Great stuff for sure. Definitely a great movie, definitely a classic. So if you like TMNT, haven't seen this film, definitely check it out. Definitely a classic. Okay, so number 1. Now, what could be at number 1? Jurassic Park. Of course, directed by Steven Spielberg, one of the all-time greats when we're talking directors, and this is definitely one of his best directed films, and he's directed a lot of other classics for sure, and I'm sure you could name some of them. But Jurassic Park, definitely a great movie for sure, and I think the first film is easily the best of the whole franchise, whether we're talking Jurassic Park or Jurassic World. Jurassic Park, the first film, is definitely the best, I would say. I do like all the movies, and I'm just overall a big fan of this franchise, but I got to give it to the first one as being the best. Some say that Jurassic Park never needed sequels, and while you could make that argument, I'd rather have them than not have them, if that makes sense, because I just overall am a big fan of this franchise, and I'm also a big dinosaur fan as well. So the first Jurassic Park movie, you can't go wrong with. It's definitely a classic. I dig the CGI, and the CGI actually looks good in this movie, unlike a lot of CGI in most modern films, which is kind of funny. And I like the cast in this movie as well. Of course, you got Sam Neill in this film. And I like the effects, whether we're talking the practical effects, whether it's the stuff with the vehicles in this movie. And you also got the stuff with the dinosaurs, and you got just many cool scenes in this movie. I really dig those iconic moments, like when that guy's trying to get away from that Dilophosaurus, and he eventually gets attacked by the Dilophosaurus when he gets in that truck. And you also have other iconic scenes, like when you have the characters up in the tree and they're looking at the Brachiosauruses. That scene's really cool. Very stunning visuals when we're talking about the dinosaurs and the overall world of Jurassic Park and everything, and you know, just the way everything looks and everything. And I think the film has aged very well too. So Jurassic Park, the first film, definitely great. And I got to go with Jurassic Park at number 1. So that is my list of my top 5 favorite films from the 90s. So let me know what you think of my choices. So thank you for watching, and I got to give it to Jackal Gold Kick now. So take it away, Jackal Gold Kick.
What's up, YouTube? It's Jackal Gold Kick, and I'm here with Zach D Productions, and we're going to be doing a video collaboration talking about our top 5 movies from the 90s. So this is a pretty cool idea that Zach D Productions came up with for a video collab. and definitely was pretty tough to put a list together because there's a lot of good movies that came out in the 90s, so it was challenging to make a list. But yeah, let's get started with this collab video. I'm going to get into my list of top 5 movies from the 90s. Like I said, it was very difficult to put a list together, but I tried to pick, I guess, what I would consider the top 5 movies from the 90s, and I also tried to have kind of a mix of genres to the best of my abilities. So here it goes. Starting off with my list, number 5 is going to be the movie Edward Scissorhands. I think Edward Scissorhands is a really good film. Out of all the romance chick flick type films, I think that's the best one I've seen. I really enjoyed it. I thought Johnny Depp gave a great performance in that film. I liked the design of who he was playing, Edward Scissorhands. I liked the concept of him being this thing that was being created in the lab, but then his creator ended up dying, so he couldn't finish his hands, so he had scissors for hands. It was played by Vincent Price. He did a great job in that film with the time he had in there, and I like the time setting in the film Edward Scissorhands. I like where it's set. It's kind of like old school. I think it's like the 60s or something. I like the time period it's set in. It's got a good cast. I think it's Winona Ryder it's in the film, or it could be somebody else. I'm trying to remember exactly who it was, but she was good in it, and I think the other actors and actresses in there were pretty good as well. Thought the movie had pretty good music. The story was interesting. You bought Edward Scissorhands and the other woman. You bought them as a couple. And Anthony Michael Hall was good in the film. He was good as the villain. He did a good job in there. Number 5 choice, Edward Scissorhands. Great film. I thought it was awesome. And for romance chick flick type films, I think this is one of the best ones I've seen. So my number 4 choice is going to be the movie From Dusk Till Dawn. From Dusk Till Dawn is a great film, great horror film, great cast, really cool concept. It's got work from Robert Rodriguez. He worked on the film, and it's a really good film. George Clooney in it is freaking awesome. It's my favorite role George Clooney has played, and it's like, you know, I look at his performance in this film, and I wonder how Batman turned out that way. It's like, why couldn't he just, like, I haven't seen Batman and Robin, but I've seen clips and I've heard things, and I've heard he's pretty much not a good Batman. It's like, the character he plays in From Dusk Till Dawn, why couldn't that just be his Batman role? Because that would have been really cool. But I like George Clooney in From Dusk Till Dawn. He has like this tattoo on his neck. He looks really cool. He's kind of a bad boy. He's got a cool outfit. He's got this cool 6-shooter gun he uses. He's got his brother in the film, was played by Quentin Tarantino. He's pretty fun in the film. And I like the concept of the film where, it, you know, at first when you watch the movie, it starts off as a film that's like a bank robbery type film. But then it ends up being a vampire werewolf film. And it's an entertaining film. It's a good action film, good horror film. It's a great film. So that's my number 4 choice, From Dusk Till Dawn. So my number 3 choice is going to be the movie Bad Boys 1. I absolutely love Bad Boys 1. I think it's a really good film. Martin Lawrence and Will Smith have really good chemistry in this film, and they work really well together. I think the movie can be funny. I like the action in there. I like the story. I think it's a really good film. I enjoy Bad Boys 1 a lot. I also, growing up and even now, I've always had a crush on I don't fully remember her name on top of my head, but the woman character in Bad Boys 1 that they're protecting, I always had a crush on her, even now, in the movie itself. So, you know, Bad Boys 1's a really good film. I like that one a lot. It's a good buddy cop film. And I like Bad Boys 2 as well. I don't know which I would say I like more out of the two, but I think this is a solid one. Just a really good buddy cop film. Will Smith and Martin Lawrence got great chemistry in this film. Just entertaining buddy cop film, good comedy in there, good action, just a fun film. It has that, you know, nice classic 90s feel, and, you know, just a really awesome film. And the concept, I think, I'm trying to remember the concept, it's basically like this woman they got to protect. She witnesses a murder, and they have to, you know, protect her because the guy who did the murder saw her. And you know, there's some funny parts to the film. Like I remember some of the dialogue where Martin Lawrence had to be Will Smith's character, and he had to say Mike Lowry. You know, that was funny. I also like the scene where like Will Smith's, I think, in like a strip club type area, and Martin Lawrence is just getting into a fight and getting beat up, and also having to beat up somebody in the bathroom. Will Smith doesn't even notice it, so he's not even helping his partner. That's some funny shit. I also thought it was funny when Will Smith was talking to Martin Lawrence's wife, and he pretended he was still on the phone asking what she was wearing. That was pretty funny. Martin Lawrence had a funny reaction to that. So yeah, that's my number 3 choice, Bad Boys 1. Great film. I think it's kind of an underrated film. It definitely should be talked about more. It's a classic film. It's awesome. I like that one a lot. So number 2 choice is going to be Face Off. Face Off is a great film, great action film. Nicolas Cage and John Travolta in that film are really good. I grew up on that film. It was bought and I watched it growing up. I love Face Off. It's a classic film. I've seen it many, many times. A lot of times I watched it was when I had no internet, or internet was temporarily taken away, or whatever the case may be. And a lot of times I would watch Face Off because that's one of the physical movies I have. And Face Off is just a classic film. Like, what I love about Face Off is that John Travolta and Nicolas Cage are so over the top in that film. They're so over the top in the film. There's so much fun with their dialogue and the stuff they say. It's just a lot of fun. I love how over the top Travolta is. Like, I like the scene where he says, we you good looking, and he says, because the concept of the film is that John Travolta is the good guy, Nicolas Cage is the bad guy, and John Travolta is going after Nicolas Cage. He ends up killing him, but they need information about a bomb, so they end up doing this surgery where John Travolta's character becomes Nicolas Cage's character, but then something happens. Nicolas Cage's character is still alive, so he becomes John Travolta, so basically they swap, and you get to see basically Travolta play Nicolas Cage, and Nicolas Cage, I guess, play John Travolta. And it was a pretty cool concept, very entertaining film, great cast in there, and, just great over-the-top stuff from Travolta and Nicolas Cage. Just a lot of fucking fun. You got good action in there. And, just cool stuff there. Like, even one of the side characters, the bald guy, who is like the brother of Nicolas Cage character Castor Troy, he's fun. Like, he's a fun character. He was fun in the film. And then I'm trying to remember some other stuff about the film. You had the guy from All About Them Benjamins in there. He was pretty good in there. He's always pretty good in a lot of the movies he does. He stands out like the scars on his face. But yeah, Face Off is a great film. You got a good director. I'm trying to remember his name. John Woo. Yeah, John Woo's name. Great director. Did a great job directing that film. So yeah, that's my number 2 choice, Face Off. Really good film. Awesome action film. Like that one a lot. It's got a great finale. It's a really cool film and just a lot of fun. Love that one a lot. It's absolute greatness, and I would say it's hands down the best movie Nicolas Cage has made, and the best movie John Travolta's made, in my opinion. So my number 1 choice in terms of overall favorite movie from the 90s, what I put on top, has to easily be Falling Down with Michael Douglas. Absolutely. When I saw Falling Down, bits of it, and eventually watched it, I was blown away by this film. I absolutely love Falling Down Michael Douglas. It is an amazing film. I love the concept where it's basically Michael Douglas plays this character named Defense. He's your average everyday guy, and he's just trying to make it home to his daughter's birthday, and he's going through all this crap, in LA where he's at, where, he deals with some gangsters, and he deals with some incident at the store. He deals with this Nazi guy. He deals with this. He deals with that. And it's like he slowly loses his sanity and starts to be affected by society and stuff. And I think the film has an interesting, just like direction and story it's going for. It's basically showing you, something that's realistic that could happen in real life. There's a lot of stuff you can relate to real life with this film, where just the average everyday guy, eventually becomes kind of unhinged and starts to lose it slowly. All the stuff he's going through in society, all the bullshit he has to put up with. And it's just such an interesting film. And I think one of the things that's really cool about the film is that all these encounters that Michael Douglas's character has is very interesting. You remember all of them. You can remember the whammy burger thing, where he wants breakfast and they say, we don't serve breakfast, we only serve lunch at this time. The stuff at the golf course, the guy has a heart attack. The stuff about, where the kid's like, what's the name of this movie? It's like Under Construction. That whole scene is memorable. Him encountering the Nazi and that stuff. Him dealing with the gangsters. Just so many, all the encounters are memorable, and they're just really good. And you got other good actors in the film as well. The guy who played the Nazi character did a really good job. The guy who played the gangsters did a really good job. What's his name? Robert Duvall. He was really good in the film as well. He was almost kind of like a parallel, sort of Michael Douglas's character Defense. He was kind of like, him, I guess, but a little bit more intact. Like basically, he was, if defense didn't become kind of unhinged and crazy later on, and society didn't get to him like that, then I guess that's what Robert Duvall's character would be. So he's kind of like the other, I guess, element of this is who he is, or this is what like defense, or what this is what a person is like that doesn't let society and all the crap going on in it affect them in the way that it affected defense character, if that makes sense. But he's a pretty good character. He's a pretty good actor in the film. It's just a classic film, and I love Falling Down. I love the style of, you know, this everyday average guy just slowly losing it. This is like the best performance Michael Douglas has ever gave, hands down, in all of his films. His performance is amazing. I love the look of his character, where his hair is kind of like cut in a certain way and it kind of sticks up, and he wears these glasses. He has this white shirt. And, you know, there's a lot of films that did a lot of things similar to Falling Down. Falling Down was a trendsetter, in my opinion, because you got these other movies. Like, you got The Joker with Joaquin Phoenix. You know, movies like that pretty much got their blueprint and style from Falling Down, because Falling Down's kind of was that in the 90s. And Joel Schumacher's a great director. He directed this film. You know, he did a great job directing this movie, and it's just a phenomenal film. Cool concept, interesting story, great cast of actors, entertaining film, and, you know, just kind of a relatable film in a way, because it's like, damn, man, a lot of the stuff, because you could relate to the film in the sense of, you could go through a lot of shit too and deal with a lot of the bullshit in society and just a lot of the crap going on in the world even nowadays, and you could be like, damn, sometimes I feel like just going off the deep end, or just, you know, kind of getting sick of it and going in this direction. Or you can relate to it in the sense of that, like how Michael Douglas's character is affected by this stuff. You know, that's kind of what you can get from the film, and it's just cool, man. It's the best Michael Douglas film easily. I just love his performance. I love the character he plays. It's awesome. Falling Down is great. Love that film a lot. So that's my number one choice, Falling Down. So yeah, that's really it for my list of top 5 movies from the 90s. Definitely was hard to put a list together, because there is so many good films that came out in the 90s. You know, but had to pick 5. Now, I'm going to give some honorable mentions for some movies. Like, okay, some honorable mentions would be The Crow with Brandon Lee. That was a good film. The Fifth Element with Bruce Willis. That was a good film. John Carpenter's Vampires was good. I Know What You Did Last Summer was good. Eraser was good. Scream was good. Fight Club was great. Boys in the Hood was great. The Big Hit was great. That's Mark Wahlberg's best movie. Men in Black is great. You know, there's just a lot of good movies in the 90s. Now, one movie that I didn't include here that may be asked in the comments, I don't know, because I know this is probably the most popular movie of the 90s, is Terminator 2. The only reason I didn't put Terminator 2 in this list or talk about it in my top 5 is because I do remember liking the Terminator films, the first 2 growing up, but I haven't seen Terminator 2 in so long, so my memory is just not as I guess I would say, I don't remember it as much as these films, and I just feel like, you know, I don't know, I want to revisit Terminator 2 to see where I stand on it, to see where I place it, because it's been a very long time since I've seen that movie, but it is a good film. But that's why I didn't have it on my list, because I know that's like the most popular film of the 90s and stuff. But that's it for my part in this collab. Peace out, and let us know in the comments what your top 5 movies are for the 90s. Peace.